Big news was the black fungus.
Oh, yeah.
It was the talk of the town.
Right.
Again, knowing what happened in India. Bless, you're going to break it down for us.
Yeah.
What exactly is the black fungus?
Okay, so the black fungus, I'm glad you asked, Lloyd.
Yeah.
The black fungus is something that commonly affects the sinuses or lungs. Once a person actually inhales fungal spores in the air, now it can affect your skin if you have a surface injury like a cut or a burn, something like that. But now it depends on where the fungus is growing, and that'll depend on what your symptoms could be. So it could be facial swelling, fever, skin ulcers, black lesions in your mouth. Now, black fungus is caused by mold found in damp environments. So this
sounds
is something
horrible.
It sounds awful, and it sounds like something that we could find anywhere in our homes.
Okay.
Soil, compost, something a lot of us are kind of experimenting with right now, compost, right?
Yeah.
But it can affect your respiratory tract. So when you even see these shows where people are seeing fungus and mold in houses, they immediately put masks on.
Yeah, so if you have an exposed wound or something, that could infect you.
Exactly, the spores that are flying around in the air. So this is something that they're seeing spreading across India, and they're seeing it manifest in as a skin infection behind forehead, nose, cheekbones, eyes, teeth. It's everywhere, and I'll tell you why there was a bit of a scare as well. Now, in Ampara, do you have the story?
Yeah, so I think the initial report came out saying that they've identified one person in Ampara that did have the black fungus, which is what the news story said. And again, as you know, that created a whole bunch of chaos on social media. There was so much panic and so much chaos. But soon we had the ministry and the health officials come out to deny the story.
Right. So basically, the State Minister of Primary Health, Sudarshini Fernandopoulos, said, look, we know that there was someone that purportedly had the black fungus, but turns out the person was a TB patient, and they've not taken medications for TB. They were actually diagnosed with a fungal infection, but it was not the black fungus. All right. So that person happened also to be testing positive for COVID-19. So putting two and two together, they thought, okay,
it must have been the black fungus.
And it was the Indian variant, et cetera, et cetera. The GMOA are, however, saying, look, it may not be detected in Sri Lanka yet, but chances are it could make its arrival here anytime, and we should ensure that we've got medication and stocks and ways of means of handling it and treating patient as and when it does appear, which I think is a great idea.
Right, honestly, even if you don't have it now, there's no harm in preparing for it. So they want to have the antibiotics ready and so on and forth.
With the cricket.
Okay, so not good. So we lost the first ODI. And this is Bangladesh beating us by 33 runs, despite some pretty decent innings by the boys, Unfortunate, but still. I think given all the chaos right before the matches kind of kicked off.
Oh, my goodness.
Initially, 3 of the Sri Lankan team, including some of the coaches, 3 of them tested positive.
Chamin Devas, Isru Udana, and there was like Shiran, somebody or the other.
Exactly. But then eventually, I think some negatives came out in the second test that they did with the PCR.
So that's what it is. And Chamin put out a message saying, hey, don't worry, it's all good. Second PCR test came out negative. But can you imagine going out there and realizing, okay, this is going to be a problem? It was chaotic. Finally,
hours before the first match.
Everybody, can you imagine how the Bangladeshi team might be feeling? They're just
does that mean we're in quarantine too?
Listen, it's just, all we're trying to do is get paid, man. If we don't play, we don't pay. All right, that's just the bottom line. But 224 all out, that's what we could manage. And of course, we couldn't reach that total needed 258. Sad. 1 down though, 2 more to go, I reckon.
That's it,
positive vibes.
Let's stay hopeful. In the meantime, now a few things here. Speaking of the COVID though, in Parliament, we had the opposition leader and his wife who tested positive. As a result, the whole group of MPs have been quarantined for now. Of course, they are still contact tracing and doing what's needful. Again, in Parliament, last week we took the news that the Port City Economic Bill had been passed. But listen, the SLPP did come out, though, to call an inquiry. What they did say was they did not achieve a 2/3 majority. But they have not included 2 votes still. That is Ali Sabri and Jairat Nehra. Their votes had not been counted. So they are going in for maybe a recount. And they have stated that if they have 2 more in favor of the bill, they've got a 2/3 majority, and it's all good.
But that's interesting because I recall over the weekend the parties that they belong to kind of were going to reject their membership, or they kind of banned them or something, or taken back their membership because they had voted in favor of the Port City bill. So what does that say?
Exactly.
So they voted, but now they say they're not voted. I don't know. It's
at the end of the day, does it matter?
Yeah,
it makes you wonder, right?
It does. But
I mean, the memes this weekend were on point.
Yeah.
Kind of song Blessed wakes up for every morning.
Yeah, I love it. Give me all the boy bands and put it on a mixtape. That'll get me through the lockdown.
Yeah, it goes really well with the NSYNC t-shirt you've got on today.
Oh, yeah. As you can tell, this is definitely NSYNC material. Why not?
But thank you for joining us. I forgot we're on video. Right, Bless and Lloyd with you till 10 a.m. this morning. Now, a few things here we've got to round up. And let's start with, now, the question of vaccines. We still don't know about the second dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca.
No.
At this point, there was an interesting... We posted a video last week asking people... of course, should the private sector be allowed to bring it down? Yeah. And we had some really interesting opinions. I'm really grateful for you, for those of you that did take your time to kind of put your thoughts on, in words. But yeah, so someone did mention that, hey, look, it's been so long at this point. Do we need to start over? Do we need to start from the first one again? It's interesting. People have been messaging, trying to figure out that exact same thing. If we had any insider information as to when we could actually get the vaccines. But the reality is, we have different people weighing in, and that's what makes it so confusing. I think we just have to wait and see. June, July, to be honest with you, I think, sure, go in for the second dose, but if there is a third one, we may have to do that as well to keep it going. And by the way, that is a real thing happening all around the world. People are getting a third shot just as a, to boost your immunity. Right. They're doing that with the Sinopharm in a lot of the Middle Eastern countries that did use the vaccine, like a third dose as a booster. But speaking of the vaccine, it seems like the Kandy district are going to be vaccinated using the Russian Sputnik 5. All right. Yeah. So that's exciting. According to the media minister, it's going to be begin next week in 5 high-risk areas in Kandy. So, we learned by reading an article coming out that there is a hospital located in the Colombo 5 area that apparently has been warned several times, and now a final warning has been issued to the hospital that have apparently been testing over the approved limit of 1,200 PCR tests a day. So that is the limit. You're allowed 1,200 a day. As a private hospital, that's all you can do because that's how they keep track of it. But this hospital has apparently been testing 7,000 people a day. And 7,000 people a day. 7,000 people tests have been conducted daily, of course, well over the limit. Yeah. And the Director General has clamped down saying, hey, listen, we're going to cancel your permit to be able to do testing. But how much money is that on PCR tests alone? So let's go on average of, say, each test costs you $7,000. Is that a realistic number? No, 9,000 I think is a bit more accurate if you're thinking about hospitals in that vicinity. Right, so 9,000 per test. If you do 7,000 a day, you're bringing in 63 million rupees a day. Ooh. Ka-ching! Or listen, how can I start testing people? What do I need? Like a certificate and a shack? Colombo 30, I'm going to set up an office. What am I doing with my life? That's legitimate. There would no difference. Yeah, exactly. But further than that, they've apparently also destroyed some very important test results for the Thulheria factory that tested, I think, 240 plus or 400 people, and they've kind of somehow managed to destroy that information. So this is a problem, I think, with private institutions being involved in the process. See, it comes back to this, doesn't it? Following rules and regulations, being accountable, and of course now they're saying every test positive that you get has to be informed to the epidemiology unit, which means that have they not been informing people about people that have tested positive? And can they be influenced on the private side? This, I think, is one of the biggest things that it's always going to be public versus private because of things like this. And the thing is, when it only takes a few bad eggs to spoil it for everyone. You've got people out there doing such a great job, and a few bad examples is what they state when they go, listen, this is why we can't give it to the private sector. Right.